Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on the Moto G 2014 second generation. There was a big question mark on the battery life of this phone when it was released just a few months ago. Why? Because Motorola increased the screen size to 5 inches but they never increased the battery size. This has the phone same battery as on the older Moto G from 2013, which is 2070 milliampere. As a result, a lot of people were skeptical about the battery life on this phone, including myself. I wasn't too sure. That's why I thought, let me buy this phone and find out for myself if the battery is really as bad as they say it is. To my surprise, the battery isn't that bad at all actually. This phone can still last you a day, a working day, pretty easily, as long as you use the phone moderately, not too heavily. If you're going to be gaming and streaming, then obviously you don't expect this or any phone to last you a day. But if you're using, say, WhatsApp, Viber, Facebooking, browsing, checking your emails, making phone calls, and taking a few pictures here and there, I'm sure this phone can last you pretty much all day. With a bit of moderate usage, this phone will last you even more than a day. Okay, now that I've had the phone for a few weeks, I'm ready to share my experience of battery life on this phone with you guys. So let's first of all get into gallery and let's get into the screenshot folder. I've been taking quite a few screenshots over the last few weeks since I got the phone. So first of all, let's start off with the very first screenshot. As you can see in this one, the battery went down to 61% after using for 4 hours and 14 minutes. And if you go further left, you will see my Wi-Fi was on pretty much all day long, all for the 4 hours, sorry. And I had pretty heavy use on the phone. I think I was streaming a video on YouTube, and I was also using WhatsApp at the same time, and a couple other bits and bobs, checking emails. And still I was able to get, in 4 hours, I was able to get 2 hours and 4 minutes of screen on time. Now this is again very impressive for a phone which still has the same battery life as the older model and yet has a bigger screen and still is able to give you a decent amount of screen on time. So 61% after 4 hours, I was able to get 2 hours and 4 minutes of screen on time. Okay, next up, I used the phone I think for 46 minutes and 44 seconds, and the battery went down to 90%. Now this 46 minutes or 44 minutes was a pretty heavy usage, as you can see from the graph here. I was streaming a long video on YouTube, checking out a review, and I was able to get 32 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 90% after 46 minutes of usage. Still not bad at all. Just to let you guys know that of all this time I was using the phone, I had the brightness set on around 70 to 75%. That's why I normally tend to keep my brightness. I don't want to keep it too low and I don't want to keep it too high as well. I just want to keep it where I feel comfortable looking at the phone. Okay, so next up again. Now in this screenshot, as you can see, I've pushed the phone to the limit. I let it go all the way down to 10%, and after 16 and a half hours of use, as you can see on my graph here, I was able to get 4 hours and 24 minutes of screen on time. Now, for a phone which has a 5-inch screen and still has the same battery as the older Moto G, I think this is very, very impressive. I wasn't expecting this phone to give me more than 3.5 hours of screen on time after what I read on the reviews online. I also looked at various other YouTube videos where people, discussed battery life and stuff. Where when I actually started using the phone, I was pretty surprised to see that this phone can actually last you for well over 4 hours on screen on time, and this is very, very impressive once again. And the Motorola's claim that the phone can last you still a working day is pretty much right. They're still spot on. Even with a big screen, the phone can still last you a whole day and give you over 4 hours of screen on time. Okay, next up, once again, the battery went down to 58% after 11 hours and 7 minutes of usage, which was just moderate, not too heavy. Wi-Fi probably for an hour or so. I was able to get 2 hours and 6 minutes with battery around at 58%. Now as you can see, this is slightly less than what I got on the Wi-Fi. So the thing to note here is that if you're going to be using this phone on your 3G, the chances are you're going to get average or just above average battery life. But if you're going to be using Wi-Fi on the phone, the chances are that you'll be getting a lot more what you get on a 3G browsing or 3G internet usage. So as we know, generally as a principle, phones tend to consume more battery on 3G and less on Wi-Fi, and the story is same for the Moto G here as well. So if you're going to be using 3G, then you will get just above average battery life for a phone of this category. But if you're going to be using Wi-Fi, then your phone will probably last you a lot longer. Okay, next up, once again, I've pushed the phone to the limit. The battery went down to, as you can see in the video, 27%, and after 18 hours and 6 minutes of moderate to heavy usage, I was able to get 3 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time, and this was when battery was down to 27%. As you can see on the graph here, I used my 3G a lot and not my Wi-Fi as much, and that's why the screen on time wasn't as impressive as it would have been with the Wi-Fi. But still, at 27% with 3.5 hours of almost screen on time, even on 3G, the phone would have lasted you for over 4 hours anyway. But with Wi-Fi, the chances are you'll probably get close to 4.5 or maybe 5 hours of screen on time. Okay, next up, as you can see, now in this one, as you can see, I had the phone on for 10 hours and 8 minutes, and the battery went down to only 97%. Now this was standby time. This was on one of the weekends. When I fully charged it, I went to bed, and when I got up after 10 hours and 8 minutes, the phone had only lost 3% of the total charge. This is the standby timings on the Moto G 2014, which I still think it's very, very good. I've seen expensive phones getting a battery drain on standby quicker than what we can see here. As you can see, a couple of blue dots here, that was when in the middle of the night and early hours of the morning, I just woke up just to quickly check the time on the phone, and pretty much it, and that was a total of 59 seconds. So in standby, it only lost 3% from a full charge in 10 hours, which I think is very, very nice, not bad at all. Okay, next up again, I used the phone a bit moderately. The battery went down to about 45%. I wasn't as heavy on the phone as I would normally be, as you've seen on my screenshots from before. And after 1 day and 1 hour with moderate use, a bit of 3G and a bit of Wi-Fi, I used the GPS a few times as well. After 1 day and 1 hour, I was able to get 2 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time, and the battery down to 45%. Now, as you can see, that this kind of screen on time we achieved before in the screenshots with Wi-Fi on and battery still not down to 50%. But here, as you can see, it's down to 45. It was down to 45%, and you only got 2 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time. Reason for that, because I was also involved in using heavily the 3G as well, and not only just the Wi-Fi. So the 3G can actually reduce your battery screen on times, but if you were to be using the Wi-Fi only and not 3G as much, the chances are the phone will last you even longer. So with moderate use, this phone can still last you over a day, as you can see in the screenshot, 1 day and 1 hour, and it still had a 45% battery left, with 2 hours and 27 minutes of screen on time. Okay, further down again, 11 hours and 23 minutes, the battery went down to 57%. Wi-Fi was on pretty much all day. It was moderate to heavy use, and I was able to again get 2 hours and 39 minutes of screen on time. As you can see, like I said to you earlier, the battery is still not down to 50%, it's down to 57% only, and still we got almost 2 hours and 40 minutes of screen on time, which is very, very impressive. Okay, next up again, went down to 50% after 14 hours, 23 minutes of usage, and this was a fairly heavy moderate usage on the phone, and the phone was able to give me just over 3 hours of screen on time. Further down again, I pushed the phone again to 25%. That was pretty much to the limit. Most people I know on average tend to charge their phones well before the battery goes down to 25%. So I've stretched the phone to the limit after 1 day and 3 hours of moderate to heavy use. You can see this big gap here in the middle. This was when I was sleeping at night time, and I left the phone without charging. And when I got that up the next day, obviously I had lost a couple of percentage on the battery, but still after using it for 1 day and 3 hours, I was able to get 4 hours and 15 minutes of screen on time with battery still down to 25% only, which goes to show that you can achieve 5 hours screen on time on this phone, maybe more if you were to use the phone just for normal stuff like text messages, making phone calls. So Motorola's claim that a phone can last you all day, even with the biggest screen, are pretty much spot on. Okay, so next up again, I pushed it to 1 day and 5 hours. After moderate to heavy use, it went down to 10% in battery, and after using it for 1 day and 5 hours, I was able to get, like I said, 5 hours of screen on time. Now this is really impressive. I've had used many high-end phones, like for instance the LG G3 and a couple other phones, which were completely unable to achieve 5 hours of screen on time, even when the battery was down to say 2 or 3%. But with the Motorola Moto G 2014, you can see it achieved 5 hours of screen on time after 1 day and 5 hours, and it still had 10% battery life left, meaning that it could have given you over 5 hours. But I quickly took a screenshot of the exact time just to show you guys that this phone is well capable of giving you over 4.5 hours of screen on time, as long as you are mostly using your Wi-Fi, not as much of your 3G, and also using your phone for general purposes like text messaging or making phone calls or checking emails. And further on again, 50%, 6 hours and 52 minutes, and I was again able to get, after heavy usage, I was able to get 2 hours and 20 minutes. So guys, as you can see, the phone has a decent amount of battery life on it. It has a good strong stamina. The phone can last you pretty much full day. It can go even beyond a day if you were to use the phone moderately. If you were on your Wi-Fi, then you'd probably get a better battery life on the Moto G, and if you were on your 3G, you will still get decent battery life, but it won't be as good as you would achieve it on the Wi-Fi. So guys, there you have it. This was the quick video explaining you the battery life on the Moto G 2014, and these are the real world usage which you won't get as much on YouTube. I am always on YouTube looking for videos, but I'm yet to see anyone giving you a detailed description of what the battery life is on phones. And I love to do this dedicated battery life videos because a lot of people out there are interested in battery life of phones, and it's one of those main areas which can be a deciding factor for you to buy the phone or not to buy the phone. So guys, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you have got any questions relating to the battery life of Moto G or any other phone, please fire them in the comments section, and I'll be more than happy to help. And I will see you guys in the next video.